Hey everyone, I'm back again with another video, and this one is titled Separated 5 months, soon-to-be ex-wife cheated multiple times, feeling stuck. Please make sure you like the video and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Let's get right into it. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I met about 3.5 years ago. We worked for the same company and spoke every day. We found that we have a lot of common interests and began dating almost immediately. We were having a lot of fun, spending a lot of time together, having lots of intercourse, and making a lot of great memories. It sounds crazy and fast, but she said she was in love with me within the first few weeks and was saying how she wanted to spend the rest of our lives together. If I remember correctly, before we even had slept together. And I reciprocated. I had been in a long-term 4 to 5 years serious relationship before, but it was the first time I'd ever felt anything like this. We'd meet up in the mornings before work, talk at work all day, have lunch, go to dinner, spend all night together. We talked about family values, what we were looking for in a lifelong partner, what our parenting beliefs were, all of that good core value / belief stuff that is important. She was insanely beautiful and an absolutely amazing woman in every way. About 2 months into our relationship, she sat me down and did this whole I want to be honest with you splurging of information regarding her past infidelities and instances where she slept with married men. Most recently, a married man whose wife had just given birth to their first child, within our company a few weeks prior to the start of our relationship. I attempted to break it off that night. I explained to her my views and outlook on what marriage is, and how I felt because of her sleeping with another woman's husband. She didn't share that idea of marriage. She broke down as I began loading a few of my belongings in the car. I went back into her place to check on her, and I found her in the kitchen with 3 giant self-inflicted stuff on her leg. After some first aid, I felt I couldn't leave her alone, so I stayed the night. We talked things out, and she insisted that the person she was with before we started dating isn't who she had come to be. She told me that she had changed, made her want to be better, and I believe her. She made me feel it. From that moment, I felt everything was going amazingly. Sure, we had small disagreements here and there, but what relationship doesn't? To me, it wasn't anything that couldn't be worked through. In the grand scheme of things, having the ability to look back, that's an awful start to a relationship. But live and learn. Fast forward another month, now 3 months into our relationship, she's pregnant. Not really a surprise. We weren't doing much to prevent it, if anything at all. I was extremely happy about it, and I thought she was too. As the pregnancy progressed, some issues started to arise. From what I'm told now, at some point she realized she wasn't ready to have a baby, and that anytime she said she wanted to be with me, or that I was all she ever wanted, it was a lie. She attempted to leave when she was around 3 months pregnant, and I lost it. I was so afraid of losing my unborn child who I was already so in love with. The thought of losing my child was something she had mentioned recently, and I was afraid. I wanted our child to live life, so I begged her to stay. From what she told me, this is the day she lost all respect for me. She does suffer from depression, and at the time I had no idea how to help. Anytime a depressive episode would come about, my reaction was to wait for it to be over. Would sit there in silence, and I'd just wait for her to be happy again. Sometimes it took a few days. Sometimes it took weeks. It took me a long time, about 2 years, to start doing my own research in order to learn about her depression and what she goes through on a daily basis. But by then, it was too late. She had already checked out and started cheating. It was never my intention to make her feel alone, or like she had no support. I was handling it the only way I knew how at the time. I'd never had experience with anything like that before. In the fall of 2015, we both lost our jobs right before the holidays. Months went by before either of us found any work. We had no other choice but to move in with a friend of mine. This pushes us into depression, but we never talk about it. I finally start working in January of 2016. I'm not happy, but we're saving some money. It pays what bills we have. There would be days where we would each ask what was wrong, but we'd both reply with nothing or I'm fine, knowing full well the other person didn't believe that to any degree. I know now that she really wanted me to communicate what I was going through, but I felt that her depression was a large enough obstacle that we were having trouble climbing. I didn't want to add my problems to the equation and make things worse. So I do the best I can to hide any sadness I feel from having to move my wife and our then 1-year-old son into my young, successful, female friend's 2-story home. Around February of 2016, our 1-year wedding anniversary, I started to notice some patterns. I mentioned them to my friend we were living with, and she says she's noticed them as well. My soon-to-be ex was getting more and more dressed up to go hang out with friends, and staying out later and later. It progressed from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. to 2 a.m., then 3 a.m. One instance, she didn't come home until 5 a.m., giving the excuse of I fell asleep on a friend's couch. I'm not dumb. Deep down, I knew what was going on, but I wanted to believe her, so I didn't go looking for any information. It was around this time I knew I was losing my wife, and I knew in order to get her back, I had to make an effort to really understand the depression she had been living with. So I started reading, researching, learning, trying to open pathways of communication. She had always been somewhat concerned with my health, so I started walking a mile or two in the evening with our son. She would sometimes join, but often leave early to go hang out with friends. I did what I could to let her know she could come with me when she was feeling down, and sometimes she would. But I think she had already come to terms with me not being able to support her in any way she needed, so she found comfort in another man. We eventually moved out of my friend's house and got our own place in March of 2016. Things got better for a month or so. Then I started to notice some of the same patterns again, staying out late, running straight to the bathroom when she got home, logging out of Facebook, locking her phone. She finally begins working around the end of April/beginning of May. In mid-May, that's when it all comes out. I caught her. She came home from drinks with coworkers one night. We'd agreed she'd be home at a decent hour because I wanted to spend time with her. She didn't get home until nearly 3 a.m. She plugged her phone into charge and went to sleep on the couch. When I tried to kiss her and hug her once she got home, she was distant. She went to the bathroom, I assumed to clean up. When I asked her why she was sleeping on the couch, she said it was because she wasn't feeling well. She left her phone in the room, plugged in next to the bed. I feel awful, but I picked up her phone and unlocked it, and began reading some pretty graphic text messages. I confronted her, she denied it. It wasn't until I began reading the messages off to her that she even made anything close to what was an admission. We spent all night and all morning talking it out. I asked if there was anyone or anything else I need to know because I'm ready to move forward and work on our marriage. She said no. I really wanted to believe her, but I guess a larger part of me didn't. While she was in the shower the next morning, I went through her phone again and found some more graphic messages with a second guy, who was actually the first, who she had been sleeping with while we were living with my friend. This guy helped us move into our new place. I felt so betrayed that she would have met a guy she had been sleeping with. It hurt to know I met this dude and there was this secret between them, and yet I gave her another chance. I put a lot of rules into place, curfews, who she could associate with, check-ins, but I did away with them nearly immediately. I hated feeling like a babysitter. I felt that if I really wanted to trust her, if I wanted her to know that I trusted her, I'd just do it. Things were tough. There were moments where it felt great and I thought we were going to make it. And then other times I felt that history was going to repeat itself and she wasn't going to learn. In hindsight, I was hiding a lot of my anger and pain. I felt so much betrayal. I put so much trust into her and she lied to my face constantly. I'd even ask her if she was cheating, and I'd end up the bad guy for even thinking she could do something like that. In July, after the discovery of those two guys, while we were out of town on a little family trip, she met a guy from out of state. I could pretty immediately tell that something was going on or had gone on between them while I was away visiting family with our child while she spent a day with friends. When we got home at the end of the weekend, I caught her sending messages to this guy about how much she missed him and can't wait to see him again and things of that sort. In my blindness to wanting to trust her, we had a discussion about how, Due to the cheating, it wasn't okay to send messages like that to a guy who has expressed romantic interest in her. I later went on to find out that she had also expressed interest in him that day, but that she told him she was attempting to work on her marriage. I'm not sure how she expected to accomplish that while expressing feelings for another person, but then again, I don't understand anything she's done. In August, I went out of town to visit family and took our kid with me. She went out of state to see the guy she had met on our trip. She had told me they were only friends and nothing more. There was an event she wanted to go to in his area, and it was also his birthday. She told me they had become close friends and he was a great support system for her and greatly helped her with her depression. Leading up to this trip, I felt deep down that something was going to happen, but I wanted to show her that I trusted her and wanted to help her with her depression any way I could, so I believed her. We even had some great intercourse the day we both left for our trips. That entire weekend, she was sending me updates how her weekend was going. She would send pictures and snaps of what they were doing. She would tell me when he tried to make moves on her and that she would turn him down. The day we were both on our way back, she ended up telling me that she fell asleep in his arms. Understandably, I got pretty angry. I felt betrayed and lied to once again. I knew that you don't accidentally fall asleep in someone's arms. She gave an excuse of how she was really tired and eventually gave up fighting his advances. I was upset, but after driving for a couple of hours, I decided I'd tell her we would work it through. I arrived home and very eagerly waited for her. I was excited to see her. Later that night, after our son went to bed, she told me she wanted a divorce. As odd as it is to say, I was completely blindsided by her announcement. She insisted she wasn't leaving me for him and that he had nothing to do with it. The next day, I packed a few of my things and left with our son. A week or so after we separated, this guy she met out of town and had flown to see was staying at our home. I stopped by to pick up some more belongings, and that's when I discovered they had been having this affair. Through some investigating, I went on to find out they had been texting since the week after they met. She'd wait until I went to bed with our son, and she'd stay up and send him pictures, videos of her, and messages. Over the course of our separation, I've slowly been able to get some answers out of her. She claims that spending that time with him that weekend made her see that she would never be happy with me, and that she wasn't in love with me. That any time she would say that me and our family was everything she ever wanted, she was lying to herself. She talks of making a future with this guy, having his children, marriage, and how excited she is for him to be a part of our son's life and for him to teach our son everything he knows. I ask her how she could do this to me and our family, and she says it wasn't planned, it just happened, that she fell in love and became truly happy. This adultery partner of hers is 23. He has no kids. To my knowledge, he is still living at home. It's a definite shot to the ego that this is what she finds more desirable than myself. They are planning to move in together in the next month or so. Our divorce isn't even final yet, and it has been communicated to her by professionals that this could have a negative impact on our son. I'm about 5 months into this, and I feel like I'm not really making any progress. When it's not my time with my son, I wake up feeling more and more alone, knowing my soon-to-be ex-wife wakes up with this attachment to another man, and it's killing me. I'm really trying hard to move forward. I try to draw strength from my son. I try to do better for myself and see how selfish she was being. I've been seeing a counselor once a week for about 2 months now. On the one hand, I want her to change because that would be the best possible outcome for our kid. But on the other, I want it to fail. I want it all to blow up in both of their faces. If you made it this far, thank you for reading. I apologize if it went on a little long. Had to take some breaks to get some work done. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure you like the video and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, and be sure to comment below what other subreddits you want me to cover.